And it went like that for more than a half hour. So who gets the trophy after the showdown on The View? Let's ask tonight's party panel. It's a good one. We've got former House Democrat, Congressional Press Secretary, and Baltimore City crime reporter Rochelle Ritchie is back. And comedian and host of Part of the Problem podcast, Dave Smith. And townhall.com political editor and Fox News contributor, the luckiest guy I know, Guy Benson. Yay, everyone. Who won?
You know, I didn't watch it because just that montage or series that you played gave me like a borderline migraine. It seemed just like a complete crazy town, off the rails interview.
People couldn't stop watching, though.
Well, I think the answer of who won is the show's ratings and everyone on that stage, because everyone played the part that they wanted to. The View ladies wanted to dump all over a Trump to his face in front of all their friends and their viewers.
Jump on a Trump. That could be a good fundraiser.
And raise some money.
Sure would.
And I think Don Jr. wanted to go out there and be like, I've got a book called Triggered.
Which we heard
Here are all
about.
these triggered liberal women,
Yeah.
with the exception of Meghan McCain, and I'm going to fight them for half an hour. So it's sort of like a win-win-win, except for, like, I don't know, sanity.
Well, it's interesting because Tulsi Gabbard has come on, and she fought with them yesterday, but it was a little bit more civil. And, you know, I respect that the show will have people on that they disagree with, because that is not always the case. But it delivered the kind of fireworks that people were anticipating, which we don't always see, because oftentimes when you get in a room with someone you disagree with, you tend to play nice, because if you just attack them right away, it brings up a tremendous amount of anxiety.
Right, and you don't seem like a decent person. But by the way, the way you clipped it together, you cut the rest of the show is just them talking over each other.
Yes.
To me, it's just impossible to watch. I thought Tulsi did a very good job when she was on, just because you mentioned that. But I gotta say, the Meghan McCain thing, I know she's friends with you, and I like Meghan very much, but it's the same way Hillary Clinton, when they will invoke the Khan family and say, this family, you've been so mean to them. I'm sorry, they lost their kid in the war in Iraq, which Hillary Clinton and John McCain championed. I mean, it's just so bizarre to me that you can throw out this family who lost their kid in a war that pretty much everyone agrees at this point was a horrific mistake, and yet you don't even feel a little bit like, oh, your family has caused so much destruction. All right.
But there is a disconnect between the cause and effect with American foreign policy, and there are people who feel like America's got to stand up to our enemies, and we still love people who wear the uniform.
If you support
but the thing
a war,
I like about Tulsi Gabbard is she supports people who wear the uniform, but because she's worn it, she doesn't think that we should get into those
I agree.
kind of
I'm just saying I completely reject the accepted idea in the media world that if you're just very polite and then support a war where hundreds of thousands of innocent people die versus someone who might be kind of rude, somehow being rude is so much worse. Like, actual human beings die because of these wars.
Look,
I think there's a lot. I think there is a lot to unpack here when you look at this episode. I watched it. I listened to it. I watched the entire thing. I thought it was out of control. I also thought that it was a little bit of a weak argument for Donald Trump Jr. to bring up blackface on Joy Behar. If you look at the picture of Joy Behar in blackface, it's really questionable. I mean, honestly, she looks like someone that went and got a spray tan. If you look at it as opposed to the actual blackface that we saw with like
Ted
Governor.
Danson wore when he was dating
was a
Whoopi
blackface.
Goldberg.
And hold on, and
when
Governor
he was dating
and
Whoopi
Governor
Goldberg
Northam
at her roast, he wore blackface.
and Governor Northam, who is a Democrat. And so you see these people on Twitter who are ranting and raving, black and white. They're so woke. Oh, she was in blackface. Well, where was that same energy with Governor Northam, who is still in office? So this just
Sarah
proves
Silverman.
that there are a lot of Twitter
Jimmy
people
Kimmel.
that are woke on Twitter, but sleep in reality.
Yes,
I just want
agree
to
completely.
make one point in response to what you said, and I think the Iraq War was a mistake. The Khan's son signed up for the military and went to war and died in that war and paid the ultimate sacrifice. I think that to be nasty to his parents because of a political disagreement is wrong.
Okay,
I agree with
listen,
that. I
when
agree
you,
that
listen,
is
I'm not
petty.
even disagreeing with that, but what happened with the Khan family was they showed up the Democratic National Convention, said, Donald Trump, you don't know the Constitution. They inserted themselves into this conversation. It's not like Trump just picked some random family and said, ha, your kid died
But
in
he's
this
the
war.
president of the United
I get your
States,
point,
though.
but...
You know what I mean? Like, even if someone comes out and insults his intelligence or whether or not he knows the Constitution, he's still the president of the United States, and he should be held
he was
to
a candidate at the time, but I feel
Yeah.
like when there's a just general rule of thumb, if there's a gold star family in front of you, even if they're criticizing you, you just take a
alone.
softer tone with them
I
And he
agree.
did.
I agree with you. I also think,
I think you
if
can
you
do that
supported.
and still oppose foreign wars.
No,
course,
I agree
right.
with you, but I also think if you supported a war that got this family's kid killed, maybe you're not the one to go lecture other people about hurting their feelings.
Yeah, but it's
But it's-
about
Two
But a lot of
separate
people could.
questions.
No,
argue
that's
that
why I agree
they
with both of
and
them.
cause their
also
loved one to die.
her father died a long and painful death. And it was public, and it was tragic, and it was very painful for her. And given that, Donald Trump is still attacking her late father.
Yeah.
So I understand her grief, and I understand her pain and her need to set the record straight with, someone who's in the exact same position. It is the child of a politician who happens to be very high profile.
Sure.
So I think she's well within her right to set the record straight.
I think she's well within her right to not like Donald Trump, for sure.
Meghan McCain was today. I really was very surprised at how subdued she was.
I think it was a choice. I think she was really trying to hold it in.
Maybe that's what it was, and maybe it worked for her. Maybe she really just wanted to use this as an opportunity to address him in a more
There
civil
were enough
way.
people screeching, and I think she's
Yeah.
Yeah.
smart enough to know,
Okay,
when
let
to
me
lock
back
it
off.
up.